In the steaming jungles of southern Mexico, long before the Maya built their towering temples or the Aztec ruled from their island capital, a shadowy culture thrived. They left behind colossal stone heads, each carved with uncanny realism, eyes staring across millennia. We call them the Olmecs, often whispered of as the Mother Culture of Mesoamerica. Who were they? Why did they vanish? And what secrets still sleep beneath the jungle canopy? This is not just history. It is legend. The story of the mysterious Olmecs begins here. The story begins around 1500 BCE on the swampy Gulf Coast lowlands of Veracruz and Tabasco. This was a land of rivers and wetlands, fertile soils refreshed each year by floods. Here, corn, beans, and squash grew in abundance, supporting villages that dotted the plains. Life was challenging. Mosquitoes swarmed, storms raged, and the jungle loomed thick. Yet out of this environment, a people began to shape a culture unlike any seen before. By 1200 BCE, the Olmecs had already distinguished themselves. They built earthen platforms, ceremonial mounds, and plazas, early blueprints for the pyramids and temples that would rise centuries later. Stone tools were their chisels, rivers their highways, and the jungle their sacred canvas. Through ritual and ingenuity, they carved the beginnings of a civilization. It was the dawn of something extraordinary, an origin story for Mesoamerican greatness. San Lorenzo became the first great Olmec city. An artificial plateau rose above the floodplain, reshaped by human hands. Complex drainage systems channeled water through canals, a feat of engineering centuries ahead of its time. Here, the colossal stone heads appeared, massive basalt boulders transported from distant quarries, transformed into portraits of rulers or gods. San Lorenzo was not just a settlement, it was a statement of power. Each head is unique, broad lips, strong noses, helmet-like headgear. Some weigh more than 40 tons. How were they moved across miles of swamp without wheels or draft animals? The mystery endures. To the Olmecs, stone was not inert, it was alive, eternal, a medium through which their leaders achieved immortality. These colossal visages were guardians, speaking silently through the ages. After San Lorenzo declined, Venta rose as the Olmec heart. On an island of high ground above swamps, Venta flourished. Here stood one of the earliest pyramids in the Americas, rising more than 30 meters. Stone altars, thrones, and stelae told stories of rulers and rituals. Offerings of jade, obsidian, and serpentine were buried in elaborate caches, sacrifices to the gods. Venta was not just political, it was profoundly spiritual. Later, Tres Zapotes carried the Olmec legacy into new centuries. Here, archaeologists uncovered the earliest evidence of Mesoamerican writing and calendrical systems. Symbols etched in stone suggest the Olmecs may have pioneered the very concept of history-keeping in the Americas. Though Tres Zapotes was smaller in scale, its influence radiated outward. It proved that the Olmecs were not a fleeting culture, but a foundation stone for what was to come. The Olmecs lived in a world where gods and humans intertwined. Their art reveals jaguar spirits, feathered serpents, and beings that straddle earth and sky. The jaguar was sacred, embodying both ferocity and mystery. Figures of half-human, half-jaguar, were-jaguars, may represent shamanic transformations, rulers claiming divine power. To the Olmecs, every stone, every storm, every stalk of maize pulsed with spiritual energy. One of the oldest ball courts in Mesoamerica is linked to the Olmecs. The sacred ball game, played with a heavy rubber ball, was more than sport. It was ritual. It symbolized the cosmic struggle between life and death, day and night, gods and mortals. Centuries later, the Maya and Aztec would inherit this game, embedding it into their cosmologies. But its first echoes resound from Olmec soil. No symbol of the Olmecs is more iconic than their colossal heads. With eyes intense and lips set, they appear as guardians of forgotten realms. Were they portraits of rulers, warriors, or gods made flesh? The helmets they wear hint at warriors or ball players, yet no consensus exists. Their presence challenges us, reminding us how little we truly know. Each head is a question carved in stone. Jade was the lifeblood of Olmec ritual. Polished masks, tiny figurines, and glittering axes were not tools but offerings. Jade was eternal, green like maize, enduring like the gods. Buried beneath plazas and pyramids, jade spoke a language of sacrifice and devotion. To hold jade was to touch eternity. Among Olmec ruins, archaeologists discovered glyphs etched into stone. These symbols may represent one of the earliest writing systems in the Americas. A stone slab, known as the cascajal block, reveals signs arranged in ordered patterns, hints of a script. If confirmed, it would mean the Olmecs were not only sculptors, but scribes, the first to record thought in lasting form. Around 400 BCE, San Lorenzo and Venta fell silent. Monuments were toppled, sites abandoned. The jungle began to reclaim stone. What caused this collapse? Floods may have shifted rivers, drowning fields, resources may have been exhausted, or internal conflict may have torn society apart. The reasons remain elusive, but the silence was deafening. Nature does not wait. Roots split stone, vines smother pyramids, rain erodes sacred altars. The Olmec heartlands became empty husks, yet the people themselves did not vanish. Communities endured, though the centers of power dissolved. Civilization faded into myth, swallowed by green shadows. The striking features of the colossal heads sparked theories of contact with Africa or Asia. Could the Olmecs have crossed oceans? Did sailors from afar reach Mesoamerica millennia before Columbus? Mainstream archaeology rejects this, finding no evidence. Yet the allure persists, feeding fringe theories of lost continents and ancient explorers. Other scholars look inward. They see shamans transforming into jaguars. They interpret the ball game as cosmic drama. They read monuments as theaters of myth, where rulers became bridges between heaven and earth. The Olmecs may not have left texts, but their art is a scripture in stone. Recent excavations reveal complex knowledge of astronomy and calendars. Alignments of monuments suggest the Olmecs tracked celestial events. Their 260-day ritual calendar may have begun here, centuries before the Maya perfected it. The Olmecs gazed at the stars, not merely at the soil. They understood that time itself was sacred. Though their cities crumbled, their influence endured. The Maya inherited writing, calendars, and cosmology. The Aztec inherited gods, games, and monumental ritual space. The jaguar, the feathered serpent, the sacred ball game, all trace back to Olmec origins. They were roots nourishing the mighty trees of Mesoamerican civilization. Today, colossal heads stand in museums and jungles alike. Silent, immense, unyielding. They confront us with the presence of a world long gone. Tourists gaze, archaeologists measure, yet the heads remain mysterious, refusing to give up their secrets. They are monuments not just to rulers, but to mystery itself. The Olmecs, builders of platforms, shapers of jade, carvers of stone. They were the first great civilization of Mesoamerica, yet also one of its greatest enigmas. Their legacy is not measured only in monuments, but in the cultures that followed. Maya, Aztec, and beyond, they all carried echoes of the Olmecs. And still the question lingers. Who were the Olmecs, really? Perhaps we will never know. But in the silence of the jungle, and in the gaze of stone, their story lives on.